Alright, today we're going to read this poem called Plum, and then we're going to focus on making inferences, which is what we practiced last week with reading our stories, but this week we're going to do it with poems. So let's go ahead and read our poem and think about those different steps that we have to practice as we read. So first of all, we have Plum. Don't be so glum, Plum. Don't feel beaten, you were made to be eaten. But don't you know that deep within, beneath your juicy flesh and flimsy skin, you bear a mystery, you hold a key. You have the making of a whole new... Alright, so first of all, I wanted to show you guys what a plum is. Okay, so this is what a plum looks like. This is a bunch of plums, and this is one by itself. So when you look at it, you can see that it is a fruit. Now we're going to read it again, and I want you to think about a couple things. The first thing we need to do is talk about the rhyming words, the stanzas, the lines, all of those things. So that will be our first focus as we read again. Don't be so glum, Plum. Don't feel beaten. You were made to be eaten. But don't you know that deep within, beneath your juicy flesh and flimsy skin, you bear a mystery, you hold a key. You have the making of a whole new... Alright, so for step one, we have to look at the poem, and we have to talk about the rhyming words, the stanzas, and the lines. So we're going to take just a second, and we are going to complete this together on our poems, which we have at our tables, so that we practice this skill, because later on you guys are going to be doing this by yourself. So let's go ahead and do that first. So now you can see that I have my stanzas. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stanzas. I have my lines numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then my rhyming words are glum and plum, beaten and eaten, within and skin, and mystery and key. So you should have all of those things done for this first step. And then if you don't, you guys need to pause the video so that you can get that copied down. Alright, so some of the things that I notice are that this is a plum. I just showed you a picture of the plum. And it is a fruit. And what's in the middle of the fruit? There's a seed. So I want us to go back in the poem, read it again, and this time I want you to think about this as being a fruit. And now the second time we read it, we're going to kind of think about what questions do we have, what do we want to know, and I am going to tell you right now that I want to know what is supposed to be after those 3 dots at the end of this poem. So let's read it again the second time and try to figure out what that word could be. Plum. Don't be so glum, Plum. Don't feel beaten, you were made to be eaten. But don't you know that deep within, beneath your juicy flesh and flimsy skin, you bear a mystery, you hold a key. You have the making of a whole new... What do you guys think it is? So we have a fruit, and we have seeds, and we've learned that seeds make new flowers, new plants. So if this is a seed, what do you think it could make? Hopefully by now you've said a new plum because it makes a new one. So this could be the missing word that goes here. you have the making of a whole new plum. And this word plum rhymes with glum. So now we have our rhyming pattern figured out. All right, now the last step that we need to go through is writing down what we can infer. Now we've kind of already talked about it, so instead of us going back and starting all over, I want us to reread it for the third time, and this time, as we do it, we're going to write down what we see, what we know, and what we can infer. All right, so don't be so glum, Plum. So one thing that I see is that the poem is about a plum. And a plum, I know, Miss Reader knows this, a plum is a fruit. So at the very end, we already talked about this. You have the making of a whole new blank. Well, we have a fruit and we have a seed, which is deep within, beneath juicy flesh and flimsy skin. This is in the middle, under all of this flesh, which is on the outside, and the skin, all of that. In the middle holds the key to a whole new plum. So my inference is that plums can make new ones when we get their seeds and plant them. Oops. So that was my inference, what I saw, what I know, and what I think. I just made an inference about this poem. Today, that's basically what we're going to continue to do. We're going to read more poems, and we're going to continue this skill tomorrow as well. So we'll read a poem, we'll talk about what we see, go back into our background knowledge, and then we're going to go back to our inferences. So what do we think about the poem?